Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for joining CNBC.
You're welcome.
I want to kick off by just asking you to talk us through the latest numbers from Damac. Obviously, some disappointing numbers this time around. What do you think happened?
I mean, it's very obvious. We had a slowdown in the economy, in the property market in 2018 and 2019. Things are already coming down. We're having soft landing, if I may call it. And COVID made it hard landing. So sale was down. Market oversupply was prior to COVID. And with COVID and lockdown and tourism number came down, and everybody is, trying to fix its own internal issues, it was no time for people to buy property. I think what we have done, more than, $600 million of sale is not bad for 2020.
When you think about 2021, what's your outlook?
The market has shown some movement in the villas. There has been demand, but we have to be careful. That demand has come only in luxury, top-end, ready villa, not off-plan. So if you have a ready villa in Emirates Hills or in Palm and worth $10 million, they'll go very fast.
Yeah. And
people are willing to pay for it because the good part about COVID, Dubai got a very good reputation, and a lot of people came, especially in December, and a lot of wealthy. I know at least a dozen of my friends who are very wealthy worldwide, from India, from Russia, from UK, from France, that they're moving, literally moving with their families to Dubai. They found Dubai a very safe place, very good place to move. So that segment of the market is moving up.
When you think about that with regards to what happens next, obviously you're saying that it's a time for things that are already ready-built. But in terms of forward planning, with a pandemic and no end in sight, how do you think that's going to affect the property market on down the line?
I see still a soft market for 21 and 22. The expo may make it a little bit better, but not so much better. On the other end, it's a great time for the buyers. You get today prices literally below replacement cost. Today if you build an apartment in X quality, you buy from the secondary market, it costs you probably 10% less, and even sometime more than that. So whoever people have money, I think it's a time for them to buy. Dubai is Dubai. Dubai will come back, and will come back always strong. And as you see, every crisis Dubai went through, it came stronger. The recent one was Arab Spring, COVID last year. Dubai always come back better because strong leadership, very good management team, and they move the country forward.
So crisis is good for Dubai?
Yeah, it has been this for the last 40 years, I'm telling you.
How is this impacting your strategy, though? Does this mean you're going to stop building on your new projects? How do we see this playing out on your balance sheet? We
literally stopped in 2018. So in 2018, we had only one building, where we used to launch a building every week. In 2019, we had only one building. 2020, we didn't launch except maybe some 100 villas in Damac Hills. 21, we're going to be continuously very careful, very cautious, and we're not going to launch a lot of projects, probably barely very little, if any.
How many units are you impacting, or are you expecting to come online in the next year in Dubai?
I don't have the exact number, honestly, but I think there is at least 100,000 units between all the developers. They're going to deliver between 21, 22, 23, the coming 3 to maybe 4 years.
So we're talking about a soft market, definitely.
Yeah, we're talking about a soft market.
Is there a role that the government should play in this, or does this free market mentality need to continue?
I think the great thing about Dubai leadership is they allowed free market. They don't interfere. And they done a committee in 2019, as you appreciate, with the restrict the government companies not to oversupply. And it has worked to a certain extent. And I think just they will let the supply demand, balance each other. If you look at it on the good part of it, that the cheaper property is good for Dubai, is good for the consumer, make Dubai a bit cheaper. Everybody used to complain Dubai is expensive, rent is expensive, remember all the years. So now rent is coming down. So there is always a good part of any story.
Yeah. When you think about this with regards to the moves by the government to vaccinate the entire population, we're talking about as much as 10 million people, right? How has that impacted, do you think, the property market? Because the rollout of the vaccinations has been pretty quick. People are coming here to be vaccinated, and now they've had conversations about creating basically a transport hub for vaccinations globally.
As I said earlier, I mean, Dubai government manages this crisis so well, and on the other end, they're also lucky they think properly and they put a plan, and they execute very well. And as I told you, I mean, people love to move into Dubai from all kind of nationalities, from all kind of categories, So I am very, very positive on Dubai on the long term. It will, supply will reduce and property prices will come back and come back strong. So, it's a good time for the people to buy. All I wish that the developer continue to be careful and not to overdump more supply in the market. Don't get excited. We're definitely not going to get excited by bringing, too much supply in the market. Very selectively, we're going to probably do very selective villas, high-end, in Damac Hills this year.
What about the vaccinations? Because we've heard so much talk, certainly in the folks that we interview, about the efficacy of vaccinations and whether or not the new mutations of coronavirus will actually be treatable by the vaccines that are coming onto the market now. As an employer, you've got a heck of a lot of people working for you. How did you strategize when it came to vaccinating everybody? Has everyone at Damac been vaccinated at this point, and is that the plan? Or
I mean, yes, we took the initiative, and I was the first one to do it and put my picture on the Instagram taking vaccine, encouraging people, and then have a chat with every department head. So we did a lot of effort internally. And in the beginning, some of the people came forward, some people were sitting on the side, thinking. But I would say today comfortably, I don't have the exact number, but more than 90% of our people have vaccinated, okay? There is always that 5% that is still, family pressure, or maybe he's not well, or okay. But that's small, but it's a very small percentage.
And that's just the reality that we're living in today.
Yeah.
In terms of being an employer. What about what happens next? I mean, when you think about this a bit more broadly with regards to vaccinations, with regards to the post-COVID economy, because the way that the UAE is going right now, it looks as if they'll be fully vaccinated before most other countries worldwide. Indeed. Where are the opportunities there, do you think?
I mean, there are changes going to happen globally. I think working from far away, Zoom has really made a revolution, I'm telling you. I mean, everybody you talk to is using Zoom on a daily basis. So that particular technology made a major impact. I still think people will use offices. We have no choice of that. But, there will be a different way of using the office space. I think it will have an impact on the travel. I think I am very negative on the airline, and I think companies going to struggle because for businesses,
including Emirates.
I mean, we all will travel, but rather than having 10 trips in a year for business, maybe 5. You don't need to go every time. You do 50% on Zoom. You still have to meet people, but that will be reduced drastically. Hotel industry going to struggle from that point. We're talking globally, So airline, tourism, airline and hotels going to struggle because business travel going to come down, in my view, going forward. From other end, as you said, Dubai opportunity is always there. And now with the new law of giving permanent visa, allowing even passport citizenship for the first time in the history of the region, giving companies 100% ownership. I mean, I remember when first time Dubai in 2001 allowed off-plan sale to foreigners, apartments, condominiums. We were all shocked, we were surprised. We received so much criticism from neighboring countries. One very important person, one of the neighboring countries told me literally, when I launched my first project in October 2002, that are you guys going to sell Dubai now to foreigners? And now all those countries are doing the same. UAE has been always, upfront, forward thinking, and I think those decisions are great decisions, and I'm sure other countries will follow.
One country in particular is looking to follow in Dubai's footsteps, Saudi Arabia. Now, with the latest decision that companies that want to come there and want to work with the Saudis need to have a headquarters based in Saudi Arabia. Would Damac have a headquarters in Saudi Arabia?
The changes which has taken place in Saudi Arabia the last 3 years are amazing. I mean, I flew 2 years ago to Saudi Arabia on one of my trips, arrived to Riyadh airport, and I've been in that airport from 1983, going every few months, and seeing electronic passport, women are, stamping your passport, women drivers. The changes the Saudi government has taken in the last 3 years are enormous and amazing. And their ability to convert that society to a very modern society, I think is great. And of course, they want more companies to come there. They want more headquarters to be there, which I see logical there. So, as any company's business will grow, in Riyadh or in Jeddah or wherever it is, they should open more, offices there. And I think it's logical that if you're doing big business with a government in a country, to have some presence there rather than flying like it used to be. But before there was an excuse. Wives were not willing to live there, country was closed. But today you have movies and cinemas and women can drive and the best restaurants. So there is no excuse for anybody not to live in Riyadh.
Would you have a headquarters there?
We will look into having a regional office.
When you think about what happens next more globally, obviously the global pandemic, no end in sight, in spite of the fact that the market gets an occasional high off of these new vaccines and the idea that we could get the vaccines to market in a much quicker form. What about real estate globally? As you said, Zoom has changed the game in terms of offices, what the future of work is going to look like. How do you see this playing out over the next year globally?
There are going to be changes. The biggest changes is coming in the retail. Amount of people using e-commerce for every aspect of their life, it has changed. I tell you the story. My wife had an argument with her maid because her maid ordered everything on Amazon now. So she said, Mall of Emirates is there. She said, Mom, why should I go there? I'm ordering on Amazon. Okay? So from the maid which earns $500, $600, all the way to the richest man in the world, they're all using e-commerce. So the retail shopping mall is going to see major difficulties and major challenges. The COVID is going to bring changes in the offices. My theory says offices still be needed, but there'll be less demand on prime locations in City of London or Manhattan or centers where the rent is very expensive. Companies will put half of the team there, half the team maybe go to the suburb, and they save rent. And employees may like to live, next to where they work. So there will be changes in the office space. There will be changes in the retail, living apartments. I don't know. It will remain normal. People will still have to live in an apartment or a villa, which will be the common.
What about central banks? Money's cheap, right? What do you think in terms of the way that governments are handling this, particularly in the West?
I'm very worried about too much money printing. And it's like you have a headache, you can take 2 Panadols, but don't take 6, honestly. And I think, we have a crisis, and the Western government, especially American, what they did from the monetary policy was great. They saved the world because remember, on 18th of March, the stock market was no more than 30% down. If they would have not left it, it would have been a big crash. So they did a great job, but I'm not sure keep pumping more money. Because this will create huge debts on the account of those governments. And America maybe is a bit different because they can print money, but I'm very concerned about Europe. And I think those extra debts going to beat them, beat them up in the future. And they're already heavy in taxes, and they're going to be more heavy in taxes.
So we may see more Europeans headed to Dubai
and living in your villas. I'm telling you, a lot of my friends from Europe are moving here, okay? And a lot of people, and I asked them what happened. They said, we know the taxes more are coming. We are not stupid. We know it's going to come. It's a matter of a couple of years. We're just going to move to Dubai.
It's incredible, isn't it? When you think about what happened in the United States over the last couple of months, a new administration, Joe Biden has become the president of the United States. A friend of yours, Donald Trump, didn't make it the second time around. Are you willing to work on another project with the former president?
It will be our pleasure. His organization, we're so happy with them. The service, the commitment, the relation we had with them during the last 4 years since he became president, we didn't see any impact. On the contrary, we saw more attention, more service. And of course, last 4 years he could not do new business with us because he restricted himself. Now that restriction is over, we'll be more than happy to do business organization. We are a business organization. We are not a political. We do business with people who respect us and who give us a good service and good quality. Simple as that.
So you don't think he'd be bad for the Damac brand?
No, we always disassociate ourselves from the politics. You remember, 4 years ago when he first started and there was a lot of issues, we always said we're going to do business with people who are going to respect us and going to respect our contracts, and we respect our contracts. And we don't interfere what people's views are politically. That's not our business.
And finally, one last question. The last time you and I saw each other was at a now rather infamous panel at the World Economic Forum in Davos. We were talking specifically about Lebanon and the troubles that country is facing in terms of their economy. I know that you've done business in Lebanon in the past. What's your take on what's happening in that country today?
It's heartbreaking what happened in that country. And unfortunately, every time I think maybe this is the end of it and they are at the bottom of the problem, and they hopefully, with God helps and maybe some of their wise people who get out of it, is going further and further down. And you know, the last year what happened with COVID, it hit them even harder. And some of the explosion happened in the Beirut port situation, of course, you know, like everybody else, I read it in the press. It's terrible, it's very bad. All I can say, pray for them that things become better.
And you wouldn't consider doing any new projects there right now?
No, not at all.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for joining CNBC.
Thank you very much.